What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for the 2024 Euros knockout predictions, and what a group stage we've had. I'm not being hyperbolic here. I think that was the wildest, most rambunctious, chaotic, whatever word you want to describe it, volatile group stage of a major tournament that I've ever witnessed within the last 15 years. Obviously, in all of these major tournaments with these international teams, you see a lot of upsets and the like, but this one was unlike any other. I mean, the third game for each group was just insane with the simultaneous matches and things like that. So we got a lot of upsets there. And let's kind of recap what I had and versus what actually happened here, as well as some of my thoughts for these groups. So Group A, Germany, the host, looked dominant in their first two games, wiped Scotland in the first one, and then beat Hungary pretty easily 2-0 there. And then in the third game, only needed a tie or a win to get through as the top team. And Switzerland did actually take the lead. Now, Germany did play a lot better through the run of play during the actual game, but Switzerland was winning for a long part. And then in stoppage time, Germany gets the winner there. So pretty brutal for Switzerland there. Germany, though, played pretty well, exceeded my expectations, or probably met them around there. I did have all four teams in the exact right position. Wasn't the hardest group to predict, but was pretty good there. Switzerland looked pretty good. They did beat Hungary 3-1 in their first game. Then they tied Scotland in the second one, and then looked pretty good against Germany there. So pretty good to get through. And then Hungary and Scotland did not make it, unfortunately for them. Although that Hungary-Scotland game was crazy. Hungary wins in the dying minutes of stoppage time there. Then Group B. This one, I messed up a little bit because I had Italy with an upset beating Spain, so I had them finishing top, but unfortunately for them, Spain does get the top spot, and then I had Croatia and Albania at third and fourth, respectively here, and this one was very interesting. Albania put up a big fight, even though they did get last. They scored in the first minute against Italy, a horrible blunder there for the Italian side. They were able to make it up, though, win 2-1 in that match, but Italy just did not look sharp for them, and then the Italy-Spain match, Spain really dominated, only won 1-0, but it was a convincing victory, definitely convinced all of us that they are the best team in this group by a long shot there. And then Italy almost lost their final game to Croatia. Croatia really needed to win that one to get through, but Italy, in the dying minutes of stoppage time, 90th plus 8, had a banger of a goal there. What a strike to tie that one up and get them the second spot. So Spain finished first there with 9 points, and Italy gets second there. Croatia, a bit disappointing. Albania surprised a lot of people, even though they finished last, as I mentioned. Then Group C, you had England finishing top, although it was a very disappointing group stage for them. They did not lose, but just the offense under this Gareth Southgate team looks like it's pulling teeth there. They only scored 2 goals during the entire group stage. Now, given they only conceded one, but that is a bit concerning there that they did not look better, and this was one of the easier groups as it was perceived going into this competition, so that's interesting there. Still, though, finished number 1 spot, which is good for them. And then Denmark at the number 2 spot. I mean, same thing with them, really. Didn't score many goals, only scored 2, conceded 2. They did get that draw against England, looked pretty good there, were able to thwart that talented English attack, but then also tied against Serbia and Slovenia there, so not much to say. And then Slovenia also did make it through as well at that 3rd spot, as they were able to tie all of their group stage matches. And then Serbia, I had them finishing 3rd, ended up getting last, so bit of my prediction was off there. But yeah, very boring games within this group on the final match day. No goals were scored there. And Denmark actually got second ahead of Slovenia because they had 1 less yellow card. That was very interesting there. And then we got to Group D. Now, this one was a wild group. On the first match day, you had Austria losing to France. As you expected, honestly, France didn't look very good in that game, only won 1-0. And Netherlands, a crazy comeback victory against Poland there. Then on the second one, you had Austria, a dominant win versus Poland. And then France-Netherlands, a game that probably should not have been a scoreless tie, but it was 0-0 there, although there were a lot of chances. France probably should have won. And then the final match day, France looks really bad against Poland. Lewandowski hits the second penalty in, so they're able to tie. And then Austria, in a back-and-forth affair, beats the Netherlands there 3-2, so they actually win the group. France finishes second, and Netherlands gets bumped down to 3rd there. Very interesting. And then Poland finishes last. Not what I had. I had France, then Netherlands, then Poland, because I thought Lewandowski was going to play. So Austria, I had them finishing last, although I did respect them as a good team, but they finished first. Definitely don't think they're the best team overall, but they did what it took to get the number 1 spot, so congrats to them there. Then the Group E final table. Now, in my predictions, I had it going Belgium, Ukraine, Slovakia, and then Romania. In past Belgium, I really didn't see much different between the other 3, but man, they all finished with 4 points. I've never seen this happen in a group before. I'm sure it's happened before, but this is the first time in my memory that it's happened in one of these major tournaments. And yeah, Belgium just really couldn't separate themselves from the pack here. They should have won against Slovakia in that first game. Romelu Lukaku had a couple of goals overturned there, and then he had one the next game versus Romania, the one that they actually won, and then another disappointing game against Ukraine with only a draw there. A couple other interesting fixtures. But yeah, I mean, it was just the battle of all mediocre teams seemingly here. But 3 of them did get through. Romania at the number 1 spot, then Belgium, then Slovakia at the number 3 there. Unfortunately for Ukraine, the goal differential screwed them out of a spot later on in the knockout stages. And then another anarchist group, I guess you could say, very chaotic. Portugal did win their first 2 matches, so they were already through, but then they lost to Georgia. I mean, they probably did not want that to happen. That's a bad sign for the knockout stages. And then Turkey were able to beat Georgia and then tie against Czech. And then Georgia, as I mentioned, the miracle win against Portugal. So they were able to get into the knockout stages at the 3rd spot there. So as you can see, the 3rd place ranking, Netherlands, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Georgia make it through. And tough for Hungary and Croatia as they did not quite make it there. So that sets up a very interesting round of 16 here. I had this Germany-Denmark matchup happening before. Switzerland, Italy, I did not have in my previous bracket. Spain, Georgia, that one looks to be a bit lopsided. England, Slovakia, I know that a lot of England fans might be taking that one for granted, but given how they played in their group stages and how Slovakia looked, they did beat Belgium, so you never know there. Then you've got Portugal versus Slovenia. France versus Belgium in the round of 16. That is a great matchup between 2 teams who have looked very disappointing so far, but obviously their upside is immense. And then Romania, Netherlands, one of these teams is a 1st place team, other is a 3rd place team in their group. And it's the opposite of what you think, but Netherlands, yeah, great draw there. And then Austria versus Turkey in the last one there. So let's get into my predictions for the round of 16. Now, this first one, Germany versus Denmark, I had the upset in my initial video, and I'm going to stick with it. Germany exceeded my expectations slightly, but still I think this Denmark team looks good. It's going to require a bit of luck. It's probably going to have to go to extra time and penalties, but I do like the resolve of this Danish team. Germany showed a bit of their flaws in that Switzerland match. I think if Denmark can get an early lead or at least not be trailing in this one, that will favor their playing style. Obviously, Germany probably the better team, but at home here, maybe feeling a little anxious. I also do think there will be a big Danish crowd presence in this one, given that the match will be played in Dortmund. Not too close to Denmark, but I do think that they will have a great fan presence in that one, so give me the upset. I'm sticking with it. Denmark to beat Germany in that one. Next one we get to is Switzerland and Italy, and this one will be very, very interesting here. Probably the closest game that we have in terms of odds in this first round. Italy, the slight favorite in this one. And give me Switzerland to win this. I thought they looked very good in the group stage, whereas Italy, I had them winning that group before, and they were very much disappointing. Yes, they did get that tie against Croatia, but even that was pretty miraculous at the end. Combine that with a poor performance against Albania and Spain. I just really don't like how they played, so give me Switzerland to win that one. I'm not sure how close it will be. I mean, it could be a classic low-scoring brawl between these two that goes to penalties, but I also could see Switzerland just getting up 2-0 and riding that one the rest of the way in regulation there. So next we go to Spain versus Georgia. Maybe the most lopsided game, as I mentioned. Give me Spain to win this one. Spain do tend to choke recently in these knockout stage matches against teams that they shouldn't. For instance, World Cup, lost that one to Morocco there. They did lose in penalties in heartbreaking fashion in the last Euros, and for that in the World Cup, lost to Russia. So they don't want to play around here. I thought they looked very dominant in the group stage, all 9 points. Beat Albania, a tough side like this Georgia team, 1-0 in the last group fixture. So I do think that they win this one pretty easily there. And then England and Slovakia, I do think this one could get testy for England here. And if it's extra time, potentially penalties, I don't know if England can get through it. I mean, that will be a very pressurized situation. But England has not really looked under the Southgate teams like they are anything great within the group stages. They always have a couple games where you thought that they could have performed better, but then they do tend to go on runs, although not winning the tournaments, in the knockout stages here. So I do think that they beat Slovakia. Then Portugal versus Slovenia. I'm going to say Portugal wins this one. Again, as I mentioned before, I'm not high on this Portugal team. I mentioned that in my last video. I actually had them losing to Serbia here. Slovenia did qualify over Serbia in that group, but yeah, Slovenia did not impress me at all. That 0-0 draw against England, they were just holding on for dear life. And although they were able to draw Denmark as well as Serbia, I just do not think that they have the firepower to keep up with Portugal there. I think Portuguese are the better side in total. Then we get France versus Belgium. Now, I did have this matchup in my quarterfinal last time, but now as the bracket stands, we get in the round of 16. Give me France to win this one. France have disappointed me a lot. Obviously, I had them winning my bracket the other time. Yeah, those performances were not great, obviously, of the Mbappe injury, but I just think they have to play better going forward. But Belgium did not impress me at all either. I think they are a very just average team at this point, so give me France to win that one, although I think it could go either way. Then we get to this Netherlands-Romania matchup. Netherlands, as I mentioned, very favorable in the draw here against a Romanian team that they should not take lightly after they did not impress many in the group stage matches, but still, I do think that this Netherlands team will win. I think this will be a very volatile game. It could be very high scoring like that Netherlands-Austria game, which could go either way, but ultimately, I do think that the Netherlands will be able to pull away 3-1 type victory there. And then Austria versus Turkey, 2 frisky teams at this point in the tournament, but I will say Austria will win this one against Turkey. Austria just impressed me a little more. As I said, looked very good in that France game. And then pretty good on the attack against Netherlands and Poland as well. 3 goals in each of those matchups. So give me Austria to advance there. So then quarterfinal matchups, Denmark, Spain. That's a good one there. Portugal, France. A lot of people will be hyped up about that one. Netherlands, Austria, we get a rematch of that group stage fixture from the final day where Austria won 3-2, and then England, Switzerland. So let's start it out. Denmark versus Spain here. Give me Spain to win this one. Now, if I'm taking Denmark to win against Germany on their home soil, they definitely could win this one against Spain, but ultimately I think that Spain are just the more quality team, the more consistent team. I definitely think this one is going to be very low scoring, probably just a 1-0 victory there for Spain. So there is a small path for Denmark to pull the double upset against Germany and then Spain, but I just think that's so unlikely. So give me Spain to win that one there. Then Portugal versus France. Do not fancy either of these sides because of how they've played and how I perceived them before, but we'll take France to win this one, as I just think they have more quality, and I think this one will be a very volatile game, high scoring, potentially 3-2 in extra time, and ultimately France just has more firepower in my opinion, so give me them there. Then Netherlands, Austria, the rematch of the one we saw. I can't believe this one is happening in the quarterfinals after we just saw it in the group stage a couple days ago, but give me this Netherlands team to get some sweet revenge against Austria there. I just think that they're the better team. They'll have a better game plan and perform better in this one, as at the end of that group stage, they didn't really need to win that game to advance. Austria was playing for a lot more in that matchup, so I think Netherlands makes use of that good draw and gets into the semis. Then we get to this England-Switzerland game, and I'm going to shock a lot of people. I'm going to make a lot of people angry. Give me this Switzerland team to pull off the upset. Really like how they've played so far. You've got this older core with a couple of younger players as well. A great goalkeeper, Shaqiri, Xhaka up front. So I just really think that this team has all-around quality to beat this England team here. Definitely do not think they'll be the favorites. Will probably be a sizable underdog, but I do think that they have what it takes to pull it off. Don't get me wrong, England plays a good game. They will beat the Swiss side, but I just do not think that England are playing well right now, so give me Switzerland to win that one there in a massive upset. So then we get to the semifinals. One of the best teams in the world, people perceive to be the favorite going in, France versus the team that's probably looked the best in this tournament so far in the group stage in Spain, and I will be switching up my pick. I had France winning the tournament before it started, and now I'm taking Spain. I just think that they've played overall better. I do think that this one could go the distance to penalties, but ultimately I think that that French defense will crack, and I just think that their offense has not been consistent enough, and so I do think that Spain will own the possession in this one and dominate this French team as much as it needs to win that match. Then we get to a pretty even matchup on the other side. Netherlands very volatile. Switzerland, a more stable team thus far in the tournament. Give me Switzerland to pull off this upset here. I did have Netherlands going to the final before the tournament, but they've disappointed me a little bit. Definitely think that they will be the favorite in this matchup, but once again, I just like the resolve of this Switzerland team, and I like them to pull off a miracle run on the right side of that bracket there, where I just think that there's not a bevy of quality teams. The best one is probably England. If they're able to beat them, then they can probably beat the Netherlands as well. So that brings us to a final of Spain and Switzerland, and I actually had this one in my round of 16 in the last video, so interesting how that works. But in this one, I will take Spain to win. Definitely Switzerland, if they got this far, could beat the Spanish team potentially. But in this one, I do think that Spain just have the more quality there. And Switzerland at this point will probably be tired, probably have to have used some extra time, extra minutes, and penalties to beat the prior team. So I just do not think they will have enough gas left in the tank to take down the Spanish side there. So I will be taking Spain and their quality and consistency to lift the Euro Cup 2024 for my knockout stage predictions. So with all that being said, let me know your guys' thoughts on my predictions down below. What do you think of my upsets? What do you think about Spain winning? And I will see you all in the next one.